Well, hello, and welcome to Faith, Love, and Coffee. I'm Trish, and I am the founder of this podcast. Today, I am flying solo. My sister Jamie is actually driving right now, and I give her all the prayers for safe travel from Dallas to South Texas to Sinton, to where she will be going. Um, Today's going to be a little not a free for all kind of thing. I do have something in mind. However, today we were supposed to do mindfulness and meditation practices, but today I thought we would do something a little bit different because of circumstances and maybe give you a chance to get to know me better and also um, so we can navigate this thing called life together in unforeseen circumstances or maybe foreseen circumstances. So today we're going to be talking about faith and strength during new chapters. And I think this is a really good thing to do, especially now. And I hope that, if anything, I hope my sister is listening and that she'll understand why I did this particular chapter, really for her and for others who go through the same thing. And I've gone through the same thing before as well. But Jamie is starting a new chapter in her life. And I just wanted to um, reflect that with her and be with her on this. And I hope she can appreciate that, we as women can come together and be here for each other. So, starting over, starting over or stepping into something new can be exciting and terrifying at the same time. And so, how do we find the faith and the strength to embrace the unknown, to step forward when life invites us into something new? Um, you know, um, we all face challenges. We all go do different things that have us move on to different chapters in our lives. Some come from, friendships that end or a new baby that comes into our lives. I mean, it just depends on the new chapter, right? Um, and there is a beauty and challenge of new beginnings. I know that, I mean, there could be like I said before, there could be career changes, empty nesting, retirement, moving, becoming a new entrepreneur, or even health transformation, spiritual renewal, and there's just so much meaning into all of that, and I just wanted to delve in just a little bit. I know that we have spoken before. I've spoken before. Jamie and I both spoke while we, what the inspiration behind Faith, Love, and Coffee is. And I really wanted to delve into a few things. And I really want to be vulnerable with you for a few minutes because there are certain circumstances in my life that have happened that really contribute to this and really contribute to this particular chapter or this particular episode. And I want to be transparent. So I'm going to start with as a young adult, I got into a relationship with a man that was not a good relationship at all. He cheated, he beat me, and I thought I could change him. And when you're young and you're vulnerable and you don't know the difference, and um, you don't know that it has nothing to do with you but that other person. I mean, it can be challenging to family to see you struggle, and you won't see what they see. Um, and sometimes it's hard to actually get the bigger picture. But once you finally do, um, you know, that sets a different path for you. Um, in those years, because I was with this man for 4.5 years, and as a young person, we don't realize that That kind of love is not the kind of love that you deserve. If someone is hurting you, regardless if it's physically or if it's um, mental abuse, verbal abuse, that is not what love is. And until that person realizes that they need help, there is no way that you're going to be able to help them. That is something that is internal. That is something that they need help with. This is something you cannot change. This is something that um you cannot go down that road and be like, "Oh, as much love as I give them, it'll change them." In my experience, did not. And in a lot of people's experiences and in psychology, it does not. Unless that person is willing to change, unless that person hits rock bottom, unless that person understands what they are doing to not only themselves, but the people around them, there's really not much that you can do. You do need to realize that, it's something that is completely them, nothing that has to do with you, nothing that has to do with your worth, nothing that has to do with you being, lovable or, that you love fiercely. It has nothing to do with that. It has always something to do with that other person. So I'm telling you that if you do find yourself in this particular situation, you know, please, step out, go get help yourself. I mean, I do recommend that if you are going through something like this, that you do go see someone, you know, um, a psychologist, psychiatrist. I mean, they're always there for you. If it's somebody at your church, a pastor or a group, just like we've always been in, this particular Faith and Love and Coffee has always been built on community and group. Okay. I mean, I know I may be skipping on my words and everything, but this is a very big deal. Um, so that is what has happened to me before I got married and before I found my husband. And my husband is definitely now, and it takes some years. My husband and I will be married for 25 years in October this year. And it's not without its trials and tribulations. We did go through a separation at the very beginning of our marriage. And can't say at the very beginning. We were in it for maybe about 2 to 3 years. And then I, got a little, I got a little ahead of myself and even though he is a good man, at that time he did not provide the help that I needed. So I suggested a separation, and then of course that led to him having an infidelity, and I did not find out about that till a few years later, even though I knew it already in my heart. But um, it happened once, according to him, and I believe that. And since the moment I found out, he has been living up to his part of it. He has been made up. Excuse me. I know he has been living to make up for that for every day since. And honestly, I couldn't be more happier. And that does not. I've only bring that up for you, for to talk about it here in this little environment in our community, because it did happen to me. Yes, I've suffered an infidelity in my marriage, but it hadn't happened in a long time after that, and I think that's been over 20 years. And I can't say been happily married every single moment of the time, because I don't believe that anybody is happily married every single moment of every single day. I think that by the end of the day, that you can find commonality and that you can find love and that you can find forgiveness, and then you move on to your next day. But I, at this time, still am very much in love with my husband, and he is a good man, and he treats me like a queen. I can say that because we do have a girl that we treat like a princess. So, but with that being said, it's not without its trials and tribulations, you guys. But if there's anything out there that ever, if there's no trust, there cannot be a marriage. If there wasn't, um, well, trust is a big thing. Okay. Love is a big thing. Mutual communication is huge. And I think that sometimes when we're in a muddle, that's where we get caught up in some arguments and everything that can lead to something like walking out or slamming doors or anything else like that. And honestly, um, we've learned how to navigate that in our marriage. But again, I mean, you got to have trust, you got to have understanding, you have to, um, uh, communication. Communication is key. But let's talk more about beginnings and the new beginnings and challenges, because I can promise you that, when I left that relationship a long time ago, my very first relationship where I was abused, it hurt. But at the same time, it was um, liberating, I guess you can say. It made me feel like I was on the right path again. I think the thing that really upset me was that I knew better. I've had a successful career. I have had, a good head on my shoulders since I was well, throughout school. I already knew, what I wanted to do. And I've always had that kind of concept in my head. And I've always, gone for the things that I wanted to succeed in. And, and that came easy to me. But this particular relationship threw me for a loop. And it was my very first I had a first boyfriend, yes, and we were together for a year and a half. But this was a first long term, because this one lasted for 4.5 years, that I was with this man, and I was so down on myself because I'm like the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Okay, what if I did this? Would it have been this way instead? Would it have gotten me any better? Or, would we have been any better? Would we? And I had to stop. I had to stop. I had to put my foot down. Um, we did experience some codependency in that relationship as well. So it was a very toxic relationship. And it wasn't just the hitting or him telling me different things and berating me and putting me down and things like that, that I would stay for that because I didn't know how to leave. I didn't know, like, every time I wanted to leave, I would be like, oh, but if he just changes, or he would say something that would be like that would make me want to stay. And then in another week or two, it reverted back to where it was before. I mean, these were big issues and these were things that I had to, put my foot down. But the last straw for that particular relationship is when I fought back. He came home drunk, and I did not like the fact that he was pushing me around and everything. And I finally gathered all my strength and said enough. And I pushed him back, and actually he fell and hurt his back. But at that point, I had called the police, and they came and got him. And even with his mother calling me saying, do not get him out. And I didn't. So when he did get out on his own, he came and got his things, and I actually helped him move out of my apartment into his own apartment. And after that, it was done. I got new furniture. I had just started working for the U.S. Postal Service back then. I was on a good path for myself. Now that came with grieving also, which I think is very important for us to do. When you grieve for something that you've known for so long, and now you're here alone by yourself, and you're grieving for something because um, you've been with that person for so long, that you're questioning yourself. What do I do now? How do I get by without this person? Or how do I get by without a relationship? Or, I need a person in my life. And these are the questions that I was asking myself. And again, I had to tell myself to stop, because at that time I needed to learn to know who I was again. I had put so much time and energy and focus on another person that I forgot who I was. And it took me 3 years to find me again. And then after that, I was good for a while. Not that I didn't, not that I wasn't good in those 3 years, but it was, you know, the aha moments, the like, oh yeah, that's my focus. This is what I'm going to do. This is, and getting that confidence back into your life. Um, those are the things that help us move on, right? So I wanted to share with you this quote. Actually, it's a Bible verse. It's from Ecclesiastes 3:1. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. And there is. And there is. So, you know, new beginnings are exciting, but at the same time, again, they're terrifying. But as long as you have faith in God and that you pray to Him and be specific about what you're wanting and what you're needing, or even just telling Him, hey, I'm having a hard time right now. Please get me through this. I promise you that He will. I so promise you that He will. Um, let's see, what else do we want to talk about today? Um, when you have enough faith and you've done with your grieving and everything else like that, it does take strength to be out on your own again, and or to build relationships with other people, and be strong in those. Okay, but being strong doesn't mean you have to do it by yourself. There's you know you gather your strength from other people. Like me, like I live 1,000 miles away from my family in Texas. And I think I had mentioned this before, but anytime that I go home to visit, it's like I'm gathering my strength from them, because they pour so much love into me and so much care. Like when I'm there in Texas, it's just like, okay, you're the visitor, and you don't do anything. We're going to treat you. I have always felt so grateful to my family when I go home, because they nurture me. They, again, they pour into me, and we talk and we have great conversations, and we go do things, and it's just a wonderful time. And that holds me over and that takes me through. And I can do that with girlfriends too. Like when I'm back home, like if you have a group of friends, or, that you can go to and just say, hey, I need this. I need some time. Could you please love on me for just a minute? Can you please pour into me? And I would be so grateful. I can promise you that you will have a group of friends that'll be able to do that. It would put their stuff aside for you if you just ask. And I think that is one of the things too that we get afraid of doing, is asking for that help, asking for that love, asking, just to be vulnerable and just letting yourself go. It's very important to do that. um Now, when I had been separated from my husband, um we were separated for 6 months, and honestly, it was a good 6 months because, again, it got me to find myself again, to know what I wanted out of my marriage. If we were going to go ahead and move, if we were going to move towards that, and then I had friends around me that poured into me, that we were out every weekend, not, drinking or anything else like that, but doing stuff with nature and doing things like, going kayaking and just hiking and things like that. And it was a great time, for me to reflect. And I think that whenever we end one chapter of our lives, that we give ourselves time to reflect and to go ahead and process that and then refresh and then renew ourselves and go forward with things. But yes, and then, when that 6 months time was up, um, my husband had come back into my life again. He had um, really, really, and truly made up for a lot of the things that has gone on in the past, and I had already invested so much time. And I'm like, I'm going to give him another shot, and I am so grateful I did because, you know, um, here we are, and we didn't have our child back then. We spent the first 10 years of our marriage without any children. Well, but he has a son, but we did not have our child until 10 years later. But I'm so glad that we took that opportunity and that we got to know each other again, and that we actually, and I will say this, and I will say this to the day that I die, that if you put God in the center of your relationships and your marriage, I promise you that He will hold you together. But now, if there's something that is always going astray or anything else like that, well, then maybe it's time to revisit, and um, see what you can do about that. Um, I know I'm not, I feel like I'm going all over the place and I'm not structured and I'm not anything. And that's okay because I feel good about having this conversation with you guys. I feel good about um, y'all seeing me for who I am and what I've been through. And I can probably say that there's a lot of things that I've gone through and a lot of things that I will not share on this podcast that I've done that are very shameful. But I know that I'm redeemed because my Savior has redeemed me. And I am so blessed. I'm so blessed to have my husband. I'm so blessed to have my child. But I know that if I had to move on to a new chapter, I would have to regroup and I would actually have to probably go back and listen to this podcast because I feel as if it's needed. You guys, I mean, this is something that is big, This is something that's really big. Um, let's talk about inner strength grown by grace. Okay. And when I was talking about you don't do it alone, it is right. We don't do it alone. And it is also about trusting God's empowerment. Um, but the ways that we women naturally build strength, we build strength through nurturing others. We do it through resilience and past storms, through deep wells of prayer, reflection, and quiet endurance. So you already have the strength for the next step. You know that? And you're being refined by it right now. So just moving forward is doing that. So practical ways to step boldly into your new chapters. Speak the truth to yourself. You know. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be critically and grueling honest with yourselves. I mean, I think that when you get to the bottom of it, that's it. You have to speak truth to yourself. Use affirmations rooted in scripture. Stay connected to a supportive community. Listen, I cannot tell you, you guys, This is so important, and use us. Use us. This is what we're here for. This is what we thrive for. This is for you. This is how we want, for y'all to connect with us. So, and I know that next week, Jamie will be back on, and we may have a third. So, I mean, there's some changes coming through that I'm very excited about. Can't wait to share. But I just wanted to take this few minutes to just reflect with you guys and to share, how faith and strength can help us during new chapters. And because my sister is going through this right now, I really wanted to do this for her. And I know that each of us are stronger than we think we are. And we really are. Put your trust in God. Everybody has a higher power. Mine is God. Mine is Jesus Christ. It's my Savior. You know, um, but I just wanted to share with you, um, and reflect with you. And let's go ahead and I'm going to put a few questions in the chat, or yeah, in the chat, for you to reflect on. And if you want it as a prompt, as you want it as a prompt for journaling or anything else like that. But here are a couple of questions you can ask yourselves. What new chapter are you stepping into or sensing God calling you towards? How can you lean into your faith for this next season? So, if you want to, okay, if you want to do it in a journal, great. If you want to even share with us, that's even better. I would love for people to share with us, just like every podcast I had said before, we would love your stories. We would love to have you come on with us and be a guest with us. So if you could share your stories with us, that would be amazing. So if there's anything that, maybe you don't feel comfortable with, or, just we do have an email address, which is contact@faithloveandcoffee.com. We do, I know I have, YouTube. I know I have Facebook. You can always message us on that as well. It is Faith, Love, and Coffee on Facebook. I started something on TikTok as well, so we could do that. But any way that you want to communicate with us, and any way that you want to tell your story, we'll be happy to have that. If you need somebody to talk to, you can private message us your phone number or your email. We'd be glad to correspond with you. I just feel that every person needs to hear that you are stronger than you think you are, and you can get through anything. You can. But I will tell you this, friend. If God has led you to a new door, He's already prepared the key in your heart. Okay? Walk boldly. Again, you are stronger than you think and more loved than you can imagine. So I did tell you about our, our platforms that we have, and like Facebook and YouTube. And the next one that we're going to hopefully do this next week, I know that we were supposed to do that this week, was mindfulness and meditation practice, but we will get to that next week. Okay, you guys, I know this is a little bit shorter than what we normally do. We try to keep it around 45 minutes for you guys. But today is just a little bit different. So, with that being said, I just want to invite you to come in next week, which is, of course, next Sunday, at 2 p.m. And hang on just a second. I really do enjoy having these conversations with you. I think that it's the first time I've been solo on this. I did want to say that this is our 10th episode. So proud that we've gotten this far and that we've actually had 10 episodes already. And we're so much looking forward to having so much more with you guys. And there's so much more stuff going on in the background to bring you more resources and everything else that you can imagine. So, if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, if there's anything that you want to explore or topics, please put that in the comments. And, I don't think I've ever asked anybody to subscribe, but I'm doing that now. Okay. Please, please, please subscribe. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. And just like any other time, um, keep faith, spread love, and savor every sip of life. Until the next time, take care and keep brewing positivity. We'll see you the next time. Have a great day.